Craig, you recently took a cross-country trip, right?
I did.
And the car held up okay?
Yeah, despite being a little car towing a little U-Haul trailer, it survived.
Well, I was worried about you and your little Honda Fit driving across the country. So as you were driving, we booked an interview with Audra Fordin, who's the fourth-generation owner of Great Bear Auto Repair in Queens.
And Audra's story is pretty awesome. She, in 2008, was doing about $250,000 in revenue, and now she's up over $1 million a year.
Yeah, she loves what she does. She's been doing it since she was 6 years old. She knows way more about cars than either of us, which for me is not saying that much. And we had a great time talking to her. Let's check it out.
Before we get started, we'd like to thank our sponsor, MailChimp. Over 8 million businesses use MailChimp to send newsletters, and we're one of them. If you'd like to start your own, visit MailChimp.com.
My name is Audra Fordin. I am the owner of Great Bear Auto Repair and Auto Body Shop in Flushing, Queens, New York. And I'm the founder of WomenAutoKnow.com, an online auto shop directory and review community.
What came first for you? Did you want to be a mechanic and then you felt the need to kind of serve the women in your community? Or did you want to serve the women in your community and, by whatever means, wherever you were at that point?
Very interesting question. I'm an auto shop. I'm an auto mechanic. That's what I was born into. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that people had problems with auto repair. It kind of just was. Mm-hmm. And I was always the token woman in the class. Then I was a girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it wasn't until the recession where I actually took off my armor. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is when people come into the shop, great example. I fixed a flat tire on a car, and then the customer drove off. When they came back, like an hour later, they're like, "Well, my radio's not working. You broke it." Let me tell you something. I didn't touch it. I didn't go in the car. Yeah. You were sitting in the car. Yeah. What are you talking about? And that's the armor. We're always on the defensive. People perceive us as lying, cheating, dirty, uneducated. Mm-hmm. When that's not the case.
Yeah.
Do you find that getting better or worse from your father's generation and grandfather's generation to now?
I find it getting so much better.
That's good.
Than it was.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because folks find you through your, great Yelp reviews and they come anticipating someone who's really awesome and nice?
No.
Okay.
I think that no matter what you read or until you experience it yourself.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. You go to a restaurant, the food's good. Is it really? Let me taste it. So it's really, I worked with my grandfather.
Yeah.
And my dad, and the way that they think about business is about community. Mm-hmm. We're in the neighborhood. When I go to the grocery store or go buy a cup of coffee, I'm seeing my customers there. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to wave and say hello.
Yeah.
I don't want to run and not go get my coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really everything that I've been integrating is based on that. Take care of people. That's the priority. Mm-hmm. When the recession hit and I needed to rethink how my business was going to survive, I really walk around still to this day and think my grandfather was here, my great grandfather was here. It's a legacy. Yeah. And I feel it's more than just a job. It's real and I love it. When I didn't have to be here, right? I had a choice, but I chose to do this because this is what I love to do. And that's for your listeners, for all of you out there listening, that's really the best advice out of anything you could pull is to be true to yourself and pay attention and hone into what you like to do because your life will benefit from it.
So at what point did you decide that this is what you wanted to do? How old were you? What were you doing?
When I was little, I would come to work with my dad, and I was in the office. As I got older, my dad and his friends got a lot of kicks out of watching this little girl give the mechanics, a run for their money, because now I was out there turning wrenches.
Yep. Yeah.
I went to college for business marketing and management, and when I came back from school, my father told me to go get a job. I was here at the shop, and he's like, get out. Guess what, Dad? I'm working. This was it.
You just told him.
That was it. I'm here, and that's. I stayed.
And that was in the 90s?
Yes.
Very cool. And do you have brothers? You have siblings?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. I was
I
wondering
have a sister.
You have a sister.
Older sister.
And what does she do?
She is a physical education instructor.
Okay.
And what about the business side, the humdrum kind of keeping track of accounting and marketing and things like that?
So I kind of avoided your family business question before, right?
Okay.
But now it ties in, so you got me.
Yeah.
That's how I started. I started off doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
When I was old enough to add, I was in the books. When I understood, chronological numbers, I was doing inventory. And I always thought that my dad was being really hard on me. Today, I am so thankful for that, because I could do your job. I did that. Encompassing everything is what the entrepreneur, the business owner, small business, big business, whatever it is, to know all aspects of it. And then no one can bullshit you. In family business, there's personal that, it's touchy, because I know how to press your buttons, you know how to press mine. I stayed out late last night and I didn't show up to work. I mean, you knew where I was. You knew I was out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So family business is very touchy. And as far as the transition from being a worker to being an owner is also very, very difficult, because there's a big part of control. And think that this baby that's been taking care of my family for so many generations is everybody's baby.
Yeah.
It's been personal for all of us. So how to keep it? I'm going to 5 generations. That's my plan. If my children are interested, then they have an opportunity.
So are they spending their time around here now, like cutting their teeth, changing tires and stuff?
As a matter of fact, they are.
Really?
On their terms.
Okay.
I do a lot of different kinds of outreach, whether it be at the shop or bringing education to the community. I bring my kids with me. So they see things like interviews. They see me on the television. They see me talking to the senior center and the scouts, as well as being in the shop where they're in the office or under a car.
Cool.
It's their choice, and they are in a great position to, well, or better yet, they need to get out of it because they're already in it. We already talk car. That's dinner conversation.
Okay.
What do you spend most of your time doing now between the mechanic side of things and the management side of things? Do you find yourself needing to manage more? Do you still try to get your hands dirty as much as possible in the cars?
What do I find myself doing? It's my job, whether it's my job being a mom, my job being a wife, my job with my businesses. Everybody has to be successful. So to be proactive is what I find myself doing a lot of. Forethinking. You could totally take. I want to say what I want to say. I can't say. Oh my goodness.
Just say it.
So my daughter would be so mortified, but my daughter just got her period today. I had to forethink that, knowing that it was coming. And at home, I have a little starter kit for her. It's the same at the shop. Yeah. What's coming up next? Right. And how can I be prepared for it so my team can be successful at their jobs. When it comes to repairs, I am focused on what's next in technology. What kind of training needs to happen so that we're on top of our game.
It sounds like you have a much kind of longer term managerial point of view nowadays, as opposed to just like, well, I just love to, spend 6 hours working on, the engines out front. So you spend most of your time thinking about the people here.
Yes. Really, I see my job as the keeping our strategy in line, bringing in the business, and then meeting expectations, being able to do exactly what we say we're going to do and do it well. And that's, again, in all aspects of my business and my life.
So if your job is to bring in business, how do you do that as a mechanic?
Well, the most important one is by taking care of our customers.
Okay. So word of mouth.
Yeah. And making sure that their needs are met.
Yeah.
From that, sharing, being honest with integrity.
Yeah.
And sharing that.
You mentioned a little while back the recession and the difficulty that caused here and other auto mechanic shops, presumably. How does a recession affect a mechanic shop? Because everyone, in my opinion, still needs to drive, etc.
So you think.
You'd think.
During a recession, people don't have jobs.
Right.
So number one, where are they driving to? Number two, no job, you can't afford your car. You can't afford insurance on your car. I was really looking at the bus stop. This is the city here. So there's 4 bus stops and the train right across the street. And I'm waving to my customers who are standing on line for the bus, going to look for a job. Bus comes by and they didn't get on the bus. I'm like, well, why are you waiting there? You didn't get on the bus. The bus was full. That's my customers. Yeah. And then I go take a ride up the block into my neighborhood and I see cars in driveways with no license plates on them. Yeah. They're not driving or driving it until it breaks until you can't afford to fix it.
So does shops that go out of business during that time?
Shops going out of business, the auto industry, right? You got the big 3. They were going out of business. They closed major manufacturing plants.
Right. Yeah. Tell me about, is there, you mentioned that elsewhere, I think we watched in an interview that you did, that the kind of in general, recession or no recession, auto mechanic shops are facing difficulties. And the question is the same. There are more cars out, so, what's happening?
Well, a few things are happening. One, which we touched on a little bit, like Elon Musk and technology. Yeah. So if we go with Tesla. Yeah. That's not a car. Right?
What is it?
It's a computer.
That's right.
Yeah.
You need to be an IT tech to repair what we perceive as a car. That's first. So keeping up with technology to stay alive in the business. And that takes...
So does that mean you're constantly re-upping, buying different computers from manufacturers? Is that a big cost?
That's part of my role as being a successful business owner.
Okay.
I need to make sure that my team is successful. They can't do their job successfully unless they have the tools that they need to do that job.
Can you give us an example of where that's acute from when your father was doing this?
My grandfather, good look. I've got a picture of him driving a Model T.
Yeah. I don't know a thing about cars, but I feel like they'll be a lot easier to go in the hood of one of those than something now. I can't say that it's more difficult. It's just different. Where with muscle cars, you'd be able to stand inside the engine compartment to work on it. And giving a tune-up was actually listening, gapping the spark plugs to tune the car. Yeah. Everything is computer controlled now. So for younger people coming into this field, it's to an advantage for them because this is new and they understand technology more than someone like my dad or even myself. For me, it's a learning curve and I'm constantly training and constantly learning new things. Is the talent keeping up? Like, are the schools keeping up with all the advances?
That's such a my perception of that, right? If you all could see, I'm like sweating it out answering that question. There's attrition in auto repair. We're in a feel-good world. So who wants to work in a job where you're a thief, right? You're a liar. You're dirty.
Interesting.
You're uneducated. You're ripping me off. Who's going to go into that kind of job?
Yeah.
And that's all wrong.
Yeah.
Because you need to be very smart. You need to be professional. And as far as dirty, open up your hood. It's clean. You can't touch anything there. And not to say that it's not a dirty job per se, because we do deal with fluids, but for the big part of it, it's about diagnostics.
If we could talk about finances for a sec, that'd be great. When you took over the business in the 90s, do you remember around how much money you guys were doing?
Oh, I don't know from the 90s.
Okay.
I know that from the recession,
Sure.
I was at about 250
Annually.
annually. Right.
And is that revenue that needs to then be broken down to salaries and parts and
That's right.
I guess not rent. You guys own the building.
Pay rent,
Taxes. Okay.
taxes,
Yeah.
taxes,
Tax again.
yeah, payroll.
Yeah.
And during the recession, I was depleting my inventory and going to a skeleton crew.
Yeah.
I didn't want to lay people off.
Yeah.
Everybody's unemployed.
Yeah.
What was I going to do?
Yeah.
And I assume things have improved since then.
We've broken through the $1 million mark.
Excellent. Congratulations.
When did that happen?
2 years ago, a year and a half.
Cool.
That's impressive, because I think of it as being a fairly inelastic good. I mean, yes, people lose their jobs. You think, 10% of people lose their jobs, or, something like that, 15% maybe. But to hear that, down 75%, from 250 to now $1 million, that's pretty acute.
That's rock star.
Yeah, I do. Like, big smile on your face.
Yeah,
it's
big smile.
It's working. It's super cool.
It's working, and it matters. And it just validates that people matter.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with that one-to-one, so you asked before, how did it happen? And I said lawyers and, food and all kinds of things. But that's how to fix it. When a person understands what they need and why, then you earn that trust.
Yeah.
Brings back the repeat business. And where Women Auto Know falls into this category is that's what our tools are. Helping bridge the gap where technology took over and bring people and shops to the same point so that it's valid. You understand what you need, why you need it, and now I'm not selling you.
Yeah.
You're buying and happy to buy because you want your car to live longer.
Totally. And I'd come back to you to change my oil. Whereas now when I get my oil changed, like the guy who I sometimes take it to, he can't get me. I just go somewhere else. Whereas here I'd wait for you.
That's like a doctor.
Yeah.
And you need to have that go-to person when it comes to your car as well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, where's the recourse? If I just did surgery and something went wrong, where are you going? Which person did that? Who touched it last? Who left the tool inside my heart?
Yeah.
And now I have to go to another doctor to find out.
Yeah.
No way.
Hopefully not. Let's back up a little bit. So $1 million is a wonderful round number. Because what I'd like to know is, how does that break down in terms of salaries and parts and such?
Right. I wish to say that the margins were to the book.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I have like 30% on salary, 25 to 30% on parts, 25 to 30% on our utilities and overhead.
Yeah.
It varies, but in that range.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's not like that, then I'm looking at the breakdown.
Yeah.
And see what needs to be tweaked. How come we're high here? What's offset? Is it because it's winter time and now we're using a lot of oil? Do I need to update my burner?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different variables. And like my husband said before, there's a crack and it's got to be fixed. Well, where does that fall into my budget? I didn't expect that. I need a new boiler and a new burner.
Yeah.
Well, here it goes. It's winter. It's coming. So also preparing and having that cushion is really important.
So that cushion, are you at any point imagining expanding second location, different facility, or do you keep the cushion just in case something happens to this building? What's your plan for that?
My plan is I'm good here.
Okay.
This is my home base. This is the baby that we're taking care of. This is what's going to live on. As far as being the central location you want to find me in 20 years, it's here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking Women Auto Know, womenautoKnow.com, and our workshops nationwide and international.
Cool.
That's going to help humanity. That's going to help our driving society, and hopefully the next generation to see auto as a career opportunity if it's something that they're interested in.
Yeah. What's the worst like beater car that you have come around here that someone just like won't let die?
The worst.
I'm just imagining, like, do you have someone who like won't let a car die? Like an 88 Civic or something that they're just like, I'm gonna make this happen forever. It's got like 300,000 miles on it. Yeah.
The people who do that, most of the time it's workhorses.
Okay.
That just have to keep going and they keep going, or someone who's built in their workspace into the van.
Oh, okay.
And it just keeps on going.
So they have like a sunk cost. They threw a bunch of money into it and they're like, I can't change it like that.
And it's reliable. They've been doing their maintenance and they made it their home, so to speak. They turned it into an office. It's functional.
Yeah.
And it would cost a lot more to transform it. Otherwise, it's collectors.
Okay.
People who are keeping it because you think that 88's going to be a beauty.
Yeah.
And you just want to fix it.
Fooling yourself.
Not necessarily.
Not all the time. Yeah.
It depends on what's your goal.
Yeah.
You know, is it your first car? You love it. You have to keep it.
Yeah.
It's possible. I have a 1992 Lexus SC400. She's going to be a collector.
That's the coupe, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I just love that car.
That's great.
It was my first.
Yeah.
And well, it was my first new car.
Okay.
And I'm one of those, but I'm keeping it for a completely different reason. I mean, it needs a lot of work, and it gets work done slowly but surely. But like my husband said again, it's last on the list.
I have a couple questions just about the actual like certifications and stuff. You know, you said, what are the certifications and do you have to pay for those? And does that actually affect people coming to you? Sorry, that was a bunch of questions. What kind of certifications can you get as a mechanic?
There are a lot of certifications available to be an auto mechanic or an auto technician.
Yeah.
There are schools, but all in all, you don't need any piece of paper to get yourself a job in the trade. All you need is a desire, an interest, and be mechanically inclined or technologically inclined. That'll do it. But as far as widespread and what people's perception is, you know, I need to go to a doctor who has, you know, this certification or an MBA for my accountant, or none of that is necessary for legality purposes. It's all desire.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you get most of your employees from the mechanic schools around here or other ways?
It depends.
Yeah.
I don't mind what I'm looking for, and I don't have very much turnover. You know, once you're in, I want to keep you, and I want to give you the education, and I pay for that education. It's good for you. It's good for the business. But what I'm more interested in when I'm hiring, and this is for any of my businesses, is the right person. If you have an interest in this field and you're passionate about it, you want to learn. Float your boat. So rock on. And it's better for you and it's better for us. I don't want to force feed someone to do something if you don't want to do it. Wasting your time and mine. Time is money, on top of money.
So if someone were thinking about starting their own mechanic shop, what would you tell them?
I'm assuming that the person who is wanting to start this business loves it. Loving what you do makes such a difference for your life. At least it made a difference for mine. When I found passion, people say, oh, when you're bit, when you get it, you got the bite. It's like nothing you've ever understood before. It's real, and it makes it worth it. It makes doing that extra work to do the research, get the information, and then go out and get it so much better because you're feeding something inside of yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like you're planning on retiring anytime soon.
Powerball.
That's a strategy. That's a game plan.
That's my passion.
Yeah, I think I'll be back here though.
Yeah.
Doing this.
If you won the Powerball, you would work here.
I would absolutely be back here.
Yeah.
That morning, and I won't be late because I'm going to make sure that everyone else is on time.
Thanks for listening to Salt of the Earth. Next week, we'll be interviewing Will Harris, a rancher from Bluffton, Georgia.
I get my wine and gas at the same place.
So if you'd like to follow along with what we do and some of the extra stuff we, capture and create while we're out recording these interviews, we think you should check out our MailChimp newsletter. We send out photos, we send out all kinds of other stuff with every single episode. So if you go to saltpodcast.com, you can sign up for that. And thanks again to MailChimp for supporting the show. See you next week.